Now we'll continue with what we left, where we left out yesterday. So I mean, whenever you're trying to open this MySQL workbench, it will always ask you for the password which you have mentioned while installing, right? So let me mention that password again, right? And okay, so we kind of started with the basic queries, how the data definition language behaves. What is the exact data definition language? How do you define any specific components in a database? Or rather, how do you define a database, and inside the database, how do we define a table? And we have also seen some insights related to data manipulation, also how we can manipulate the data. How we can dump the data. Rather, manipulation is nothing but once a structure is created, we are dumping some data to it. So we have seen that insert query as well. Now, in today's session, we would be seeing few more insights related to data definition language, few more insights related to data manipulation language as well, and some interview tips as well we are going to go through, so that you would be slightly aware that what is the importance of data types. I mean, how data types have an impact on any specific component in databases. So we'll see all these components or all these um, basic terminologies today. Now, one important thing, whenever you're opening this specific MySQL workbench on daily basis, see, once you create a database, once you create this specific structure, it is not required to create database on daily basis. But once the database is created, see, if I try to run this query, I'm trying to run this insert query. Anyways, we have used this insert query yesterday. But if I try to run this same insert query, once I open the SQL workbench, fresh SQL workbench, I'm opening it for first time today, right? Yesterday we have opened it, but today I'm opening it for very first time. So if I run this query, it will always throw an error. Now, what is this error? No database selected. So whenever you try to open this MySQL workbench, maybe freshly, I mean that means you're closing it and you're reopening it. It is always recommended to select the database or use the database under which you want to use this data manipulation or data definition command. Right? We have created the database. Database is already there, but yeah, under which database this insert command should work? It should work under this. So you should always use database command on fresh whenever you're opening this MySQL workbench. You should always use this command first. Now, if I run this command, you see the command is successful. I mean, I am using this database. Now, if I run this query again, it will run that query. Why? Because we are using this database. Under this database, there is already a component called as ABC, which is a table. And under that table, I have inserted one more record. It might be a duplicate record, accepted. If you see, it's a duplicate record. But still, it is working. That is the reason. Why? Because we need to select that database or use that database on that basis. I mean, we have to first start with this. So whenever you open this MySQL workbench, always use database. Under that database only, you can start writing your queries. So this is the common terminology we have to follow, irrespective of whatever SQL you're using. Now we are using MySQL, but if you use with, or if you go with Oracle, if you go with SQL Server as well, every time you open that SQL Server, you need to be part of specific database. So you need to use that database, even though that database is already created, but you need to be part of that database until and unless you are coming out and you are trying to create a separate database. I mean, in one single SQL or in one single workbench, you can have multiple databases. These many databases are there. So under which database you want to run that query, you have to select that database and use that database first. Now, coming down, there is one more important concept. Whenever you try to write queries in SQL, there is a concept called as comment. Now, what do you mean by comment? A person who is very new to the SQL, what he'll do is he'll start writing that query, and next to that query, he'll write a comment. What does this query do? What is the use case of this query? So if I want to comment, create database, whatever database name I've given. So I want to, I mean, if I'm opening this and if I'm reading this query after 5 days or after 6 days, we have a tendency, human tendency, that we might forget what is this query for. Okay, if you are very good in English, your English terminology is very good, you can easily understand because SQL is nothing but a language. It's almost similar to English only. So create database, we can easily guess, yeah, we're trying to create a database. But if a person who is totally new to the SQL is opening this database or is trying to read this query, it is very difficult for him to understand. So first thing is, whenever you write any query, if you are starting your SQL, you are maybe very new to the SQL, it is always recommended to write a comment next to that command. So that whenever you reopen that query, it is very easy to understand. So I'll try to write a command. See, maybe I'll try to write a comment. Now, comment is what? You can write your own way. Whatever comment you want to give, you can give that comment. So what is this comment for? Create database batch that is for creating a database. I want to create a database, creating a new database. So comment can be written with the help of two hyphens, or else you can write a comment using two hash symbols. You can write a comment using two hash symbols or two hyphens. So this is a comment. This is not a command. Now, again, if I want to give a comment for this using the March batch database, that means under which database you want to run the queries, you are running these queries using March database. So I'm giving a comment. So whichever query I'm trying to write, I'm giving a comment. Now this is for creating table, right? I can mention creating a new table. I can write a comment. Maybe if you want, you can write that name, creating a new table with name ABC. So this is just a comment. And comments have a very powerful impact in any SQL. It might be MySQL or it might be any SQL. Why? Because comments will definitely help you at places where you feel stuck. Okay, these queries are very easy queries. These queries are very easy to understand. But while we progress ahead, while we move ahead, the queries will become complex. The commands will become complex in SQL. So you might have a tendency that we might forget what is this query used for. So if you note or if you write a comment next to that query, it is very easy to guess. And comments have a very good impact on all the SQLs. Now, we have only started with creating tables, inserting record to the tables. But once we move to stored procedures, once we move to functions which are at the topmost level of SQL, I mean, the complex components in SQL, there it's very important to use comments because it will help you to identify what was that query used for and what is that logic used for. So comments have a very powerful impact. Now, wherever, I mean, I would always suggest that if you're starting with SQL, even though if the queries are very basic, start writing comments. May not be for each and every command, but you can write a command, or maybe you can write a comment wherever you feel you are unable to understand that query. Right now, insert. I can mention inserting a record. Now, you may not write this comment for all the insert records. You can maybe use for only one record, inserting the records to table, whatever table. Maybe you can mention the table name also to ABC table. So this is a comment. Either you use double hyphen or either you use double hash. Comment, you can mention that way. Now, if I'm trying to run this query, see, this will not run this. This will not run this. Now, if I run this to see one row affected, so that means again same record inserted. Same record is getting inserted. But if I remove this, see, this will throw an error because this is not a comment. Here itself, you can see some red mark it is indicating. So you have an error in the SQL syntax. So why? Because this is not assuming it as a comment. So comment should be this way. And see, if you mention double hyphen and there is no space also, even this is not visible or this is not correct. There should be space and then you can write whatever comment you want. Double hyphen or double hash, even double hash is suitable. But there should be a space post which you can write whatever information or whatever comment you want to give. Right now, coming down, we have seen insert belongs to data manipulation language. I mean, create is data definition because you are defining something, you're defining a structure, right? So whenever you are using a create, you always use what you want to create. You want to create table, you want to create view. We will be going through view also. You want to create function, you want to create stored procedure. These are all the components present in the database. Table is one component, view is one component, stored procedure is one component. So whenever you are trying to create any component in that database, you always create it and you always mention that component name also, that I want to create this component with this name. But in case of manipulation, that means you're dumping records in already created component. It is not required to mention under which component you want to dump. You can mention the name of that component directly because already SQL knows that specific database already knows that ABC is a table. Under that table, I'm trying to dump these three values into three separate columns. Whatever columns we have created, I'm trying to dump that records into three separate columns. And as we discussed, whenever it's a character information, that means it's a string information. You are inserting some characters. It should be in double inverted or single inverted commas. Either you insert using double inverted commas like this, but if you use double inverted commas, see, it won't look that good. I mean, it would look more big in size, which is not recommended. Always use single inverted quotes. Now, even if I insert this, or even if I run this query, it will still run. You can see it is still running. So it is inserting that same record again and again. So it can still insert that record. Recommended is always use single inverted, or else you can use double inverted. That won't be a problem. But do not use one double inverted and one single inverted commas like this. Maybe you're using double inverted and you're closing with single inverted commas. This is not correct. It will throw an error. You see, it is giving some error. Ideally, you use both double inverted or both single inverted commas. So mostly recommended is go with single inverted commas. Now the big question is it the only requirement for the character information? Yes, whenever you're working on any character data type, recommended is go with single inverted commas under which only you can mention whatever information you want to dump. If you use that inverted commas for numeric data also, it will still run. If wherever there is a numeric data. Now, the one is also character here. Character can take character value, it can take numeric value also. But if you are only dumping integer, which is numeric data, even you can use single inverted quotes and you can run this query. It will still run. You see, one row affected, it is still running. So inverted commas is compulsion for character data. It is not compulsion for integer data, but you can use inverted commas for any data type. Recommended is go with only character, but you can use it for any data. Any data type you can use. Now, insert is data manipulation. Now, coming down, we have seen select command. Now, what does this select command do? Select command also has a significance. Now, let me write a comment for it. Displaying the records, right? I'm displaying the records. Displaying the records present in the ABC table. I'm displaying the records. Now, how do you display? I'll mention all three columns here. And from that specific table, whatever table, I'm giving the table name. So this is how I'm mentioning. I mean, I've inserted that same record again. So that's the reason. And how many records are there? You can see there are total 6 records. That means 6 rows are there. Total 6 rows. Now the question is, this same select can be used using select star. What is the difference between select column names and select star is, if you are mentioning column names, it will only display that columns. It will only display that columns. So if I'm mentioning C1, C2, C3, it is displaying all three columns and we know only three columns are there. But if I only mention C1 and C2, it will only display two columns. You see only two columns are getting displayed. The C3 column is not getting displayed because we have only selected two columns. Now, if I go with select star, it will display all the columns. The difference between mentioning the column names and star is star will display or select all the columns from the table. Now, there are only three columns. It's very easy to guess. I mean, it's very easy to write also. But there are few tables where we have 20 columns. So if you go out and write all the 20 columns, it is very difficult, right? So for that reason, the SQL, I mean, whatever, who has developed the SQL, they have introduced a new command, which is star. Star signifies everything from that table. You're selecting all the columns from that table. So if there are 20 columns, it will display all 20 columns. That's the basic difference. And see, whenever you are selecting any specific column, you want to only display two columns. I want to display C3 first, and then I want to display C1. In whichever way you are displaying that column names or you are selecting that column names, it will select columns in that way. You see C3 is getting selected first and C1 is getting selected second. So the order of selection is also important in SQL. If you mention C3 first, it will display C3 and then it will display C1 because you have displayed or you have selected C3 first and then you have selected C2. And it is always recommended to use a comma. Comma will give you a difference that C3 is a separate column, C1 is a separate column. So if you're mentioning more than one columns, it is requested or it is recommended to use a comma between both the columns. Again, I'll go back. What is the benefit of this comma? Let me go ahead. See, if you see this create table query, I have used a comma here. I have used a comma here. But after C3, I've not used a comma. Why? Because after C3, there is no other column which I want to declare. Only three columns I've declared. After C1, there is a C2 column. That's the reason I'm using comma. After C2, there is a C3 column. That's the reason I'm using comma. But after C3, I don't want to declare any new column. That's the reason I'm not using a comma. If I want to declare one more column, I can declare it here. C4, maybe I can give one more integer. But I'll not use a comma here because this is the last column. So commas also play a significant role in whatever query writing or whatever query you are writing. See, and if I'm using a comma here, it is giving you an error. The query itself is giving you an error. So recommended is do not use a comma post last column. Let me come down. Select is what? Select is a data query language. The select is a data query language. There is a language called as data query language. Let me open the notepad. We have written few components, right? Data manipulation is create. Data definition is create. Data manipulation is insert. And data query language has only one command, which is select command. Because you are querying, you are displaying some records. You're selecting and displaying some records. Now, let me create a table which is more meaningful, right? We have created a random table. Let me create a table which is more meaningful. Now, what is that meaningful is? Let me create table. See, I want to create a table. So create table test underscore maybe TB or TAB. And I want to declare three columns. One is name. Name is, see, I'm declaring one more new data type, which is called as varchar. Now, what is the difference between char and varchar? I'll explain it. So I'm declaring a new data type and I'm mentioning the size of the data type. It is always recommended to mention the size of whatever data type you are declaring. So I mentioned it as 50 bytes. I'll mention address, and address is also varchar. I'll declare it as 50 again. Okay. And I would mention contact. What happened? Okay, not bad. Next one. I'll declare contact, and contact is an integer value. And I don't have any column post which contact. So I'll not use a comma. And I want to create this. So always close your SQL statements with semicolon. Run this. A table would be created. Now, if you refresh this, automatically you can see test tab, which is a table, which I've created now. Now I want to insert the records. Insert into what? Into this table. So it is not requested, or it is not recommended to use that insert into table name. Directly you mention table name because test tab is table, which is already created, right? Values, and whatever values, first is name. So let me mention name. I've mentioned my name, right? And comma, second column is address. I'll mention my address, maybe city. I'll mention city, and maybe I'll mention my contact. So I'm mentioning a contact, random. I've mentioned see, and contact is an integer value, but still I've mentioned it in the inverted commas. It will still work. Now, if I run this, this query is affected, and you can see the row the record is getting inserted. Now, if I use select, I'll not mention the column names. I'll directly use select star from the table. Test tab, right? And I'll use this. I'll run this query. It will display the records. So it is displaying the records. Some errors. Prashant, can you check your query? This is the table creation query. Table creation query is getting completed after you mention the column names and after you close the brackets. Only then it is recommended to use a semicolon. You are using semicolon here itself. How would you think this is a correct query? This is a wrong query, right? Our query is getting completed after mentioning all the columns, data types, and once you close this bracket, this is where the query is getting completed. Once the query is getting completed, only then you can mention a semicolon. So if you mention semicolon here, it will not work. See, whenever you're writing this query, always have an ideal state of mind. Now, why am I saying this? If you are good in writing basic queries, you can write any SQL query, even if it's a very difficult. Your basic logic should be very clear. Right now, coming back, I've used a select statement. I've selected all the columns and I'm displaying the records. Now, what I would do is, see, there are a few things which we need to understand. One is contact. Contact is small in size, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 7 numbers I've mentioned. Ideally, our contact is 10. The size of our mobile number is either 10. So if I copy the same insert statement and I'll paste it here, maybe I'll mention different values. So I'll mention KSR. I'm mentioning KSR and I'll mention different city, and I'll try to mention the contact. I'm using some random numbers, right? So do not go with the exact value. See, and if I run this, okay, it is still running. 10 digits, it is still running. There won't be any problem, right? All 10 digits got inserted. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 10th digit is 7. So it got inserted. So the size of the contact is also working fine. I mean, that won't be a problem. Now, whether your contact starts from 1, no, it doesn't start from 1, right? Ideally, it starts from 9, 8, 7, 6. Nowadays, a new 5 series is also coming into picture. Even I've seen contacts which starts with 5. But let me mention a new record. I'll take a new record. This is a new record. Now, I'll start my contact from this. This is my contact. Now, if I run this, I know it will throw an error. Why is it throwing an error? The error code itself will give you some insights. Out of range value for contact. for column contact. That means this value is out of range. How come it is out of range? We have mentioned 10 digits. Earlier, we have mentioned 10 digits, but it does, I mean, that value got inserted. But this 10 digits, why is it not getting inserted?
Integer
See,
has a
there is a
maximum value.
difference. Yep. There is a difference because we are starting it from 1. This is starting from 9. So if you consider, let me simplify it for you. If you consider this value and if you consider this value, I've written both the values vice versa. I mean, this is starting with 1, ending with 6. This is starting with 6, ending with 1. Out of these two components, the second value is bigger because it is starting from what? 6,54,321, right? Somewhere 6,54,321. But this value is 1,23,456. So this value is greater than this. Similarly, this value has 10 digits accepted, but the second component is also having 10 digits, but it is starting from 9. So integer also has a limitation that if you want to mention all 10 digits, see when you are working on any queries, identify what is the correct data type, whether that data type can take all 10 characters, and if it take all 10 characters, whether is it having that range, whether to take all the 10 characters. It is having a range of 10, but it will never take any information which is starting from 9 because integer has a limitation. Now we'll go through that limitation also. Let me again slightly go above. I have written varchar here. Earlier I was writing character. Right here in the above table, I've written character. What is that character and what is that varchar? Now the difference is so it is an important interview question. One with 1 year, 2 years of experience usually can expect this question in the interviews. That if you are mentioning character, and see, whenever you're mentioning character or whenever you're mentioning varchar, you're declaring the size of that, right? So do not go with the exact size. I've mentioned only 5 here. 5 doesn't mean it will take 5 characters. It means that 5 bytes of information it can take. In computer, there is a component called as bit and byte. What is bit and byte? I'll explain that as well because it will simplify or it will give you more better picture. Now this is varchar and I'm declaring varchar as 5. Now 5 is nothing but size. It doesn't mean 5 characters. It can take more than 5 characters also. 5 means 5 bytes. There is a storage mechanism which is 5 bytes. Now what do you mean by byte? 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. 1 bit is equal to 1 character. Other 1 bit is equal to 1 character. So 5 bytes means 5 8s of 40, it can take 40 characters. Somewhere 40, approximately 40. So 1 byte is 8 bits, 5 bytes is 40 bits. And 1024 bytes is your 1 KB, 1 kilobyte. 1024 KB is your 1 MB, 1 megabyte, and 1024 MB is your 1 GB. 1024 GB is 1 TB, 1024 TB is 1 TB, which is petabyte. So on. It goes. So this is the ideal, the background about bits and bytes. Bits is the lowest component. 8 bits equal to 1 byte. 1 byte or 1024 bytes is equal to 1 KB. 1024 KB is equal to 1 MB. So this is how the information flows. So never get confused that if I mention 5 here, it can only take 5 characters. It is somewhere into 8. The background, it does all this multiplication, it does all this analysis, right? This is how the background computer language or computer knowledge works, right? So this is the basic information. Now coming down, what is character and what is varchar? Why to use varchar? Why to use char? See, char was first introduced, after which varchar was introduced. But why people end up using varchar most of the times is there is a difference. See, whenever you mention char, let's just take an example that it will only take 5 bytes. I'm taking an example, it can take 80 characters, 5 into 8. But I'm assuming that it will, there are, I mean, just an example. I'm taking an example of bus. This is just an example. I'm only taking 5 characters. I'm not taking more than 5, but usually it takes 80 characters. 5 bytes is 5 into 80, 5 into 8, which is 8 bits, right? 1 bit is equal to 8 bytes. So that's how it works. But if I'm dumping bus or if I'm inserting bus into this, B, U, S, there are the other two white spaces. This is white space, this is white space. Whereas in case of varchar, again, same 5 characters I'll take. I'll try to insert this bus, same, B, U, S. Now, even these varchar has 2 spaces left out. There are 2 spaces left. Now, the question is, in case of varchar, it will never take these 2 spaces. Whereas in case of character, it will still take that 2 spaces. Why? Because white spaces are available in character. Even though you have mentioned 5 here, but if you want to, I mean, if you want to dump any, maybe I'm dumping record called as train. You can dump a record called as train, TRAIN. There would be 5th character, or maybe, I mean, all 5 characters are full, right? All 5 characters are full. It will take. Even train can be inserted in the character. The question is, if we are inserting anything less than the number of characters, in case of varchar, it will remove that white spaces. Whereas in case of character, it will never remove that white space. Why? Because character will take all the spaces which we have mentioned. So more the number of white space, more would be the storage, less would be the efficiency. Because it is occupying complete storage. Even though there are blank spaces, it will occupy it as blank. Whereas in case of varchar, how many number of characters are there? Only that many number of, even though you declared 5, it can take 40 characters, but it will never take all 40 here. It will only take spaces for 3 components or 3 characters, which we want to insert. All other spaces would be removed. It would be neglected. That is the reason varchar is recommended as compared to char, because varchar will take, varchar, what is var? Variable character. The information is varying. It is varying, right? Depending on number of characters, the information will vary. So more the number of characters, more would be the space. Less the number of characters, less would be the space. But in case of character, whatever you declare, the size of that character, whatever size you're declaring, it will take all that spaces. Even if your word is small, it will never remove that white space. It will take all that white spaces. So more the white space, more would be storage, less would be efficiency, less the white space. That means there is no white space here. It will never take the white spaces in variable character. How many characters are there? It will occupy only that storage. So that is the benefit of using varchar as compared to char. Char, it is straightforward, it is static. Whereas varchar, it is a not static, it is dynamic, it is variable. It changes on whatever data you're dumping to that component. This is the basic difference between char and varchar. And again, let me reiterate, 5 doesn't mean 5 characters. 5 means 5 into 8 bytes. I mean, 1 bit is equal to 8 bits. Sorry, 8 bits. So 1 byte can take 8 bits, 5 bytes can take 40, around 40 characters. That is what I assume. I assume, or maybe the computer assumes background. So always use varchar as compared to char, because char takes white spaces, reduces efficiency, and it is, I mean, storage is more, that means efficiency would be automatically reduced. Whereas in case of varchar, it would be crystal clear. It is dynamic. How many number of characters are there? It will only occupy that many spaces. Any questions on char and varchar? Why only varchar should be used?
Hello.
Yep, Nakul, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question from my side because I went for the interview, I think few years back. So
Hmm.
that question was asked to me related to the
Hmm.
care and backend. So
Hmm.
the interviewer asked me that what is the difference between worker and the care. But
Hmm.
then after when I describe all these things as you mentioned, but then after he asked me the again the same question. If that is the where care is a flexible, so it's a fine, and we
Hmm.
must use this one. But where to
Hmm.
use care?
Hmm. Where do
So
you scan?
so I was not able to answer this question.
The question is, wherever you're using char, you can directly replace it with varchar. Nowadays, people are not using character.
So just
See,
because of
yeah.
I was not able to select over there.
See, the question is, without char, there is no varchar. Char was first introduced. Char is character.
Mm-hmm.
Post that, only variable character came into picture. So wherever you are using character, it is recommended to go with varchar default. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Without char, there is no varchar because char, I mean, varchar is developed on top of char. Character
Oh,
should be there in variable character.
okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on these? Okay, so I assume that there are no questions. Let me go back to the query again. Now, integer also has that same difference. Integer can take 10 digits,
Yeah,
but
one question also is coming to my
hmm,
mind. Yeah, the
hmm,
question basically the that varchar basically is a flexible, and we can adjust the size as per the
hmm,
characters as you
hmm,
mentioned.
hmm,
But in if we want to update something, if we
hmm,
want to update something in any pages,
hmm.
so here it is a flexible for the updation.
Yes,
Okay.
if you're
Okay.
updating records, it is flexible. I'm going to that update. We are only in insert. Now let me take one more query. Anyways, we
Mhm.
mentioned that. Let me
Thank you.
scroll down. See, what records I have. Let me use select statement here. And if you see, there are two records which are already inserted. Maybe I'll insert third record also. Rather than this, I'll start with. Let's see if I'm able to insert this. Even, yeah, it is inserting. Okay, now let me scroll and let me use this select statement. There are three records here. Now, what I want to do is insert, we have seen. Now, there is one more command called as update, which is a data manipulation. Because I want to update the records present in that table. I'm not updating table. I'm updating records present in that table. So whenever you are updating records or whenever you're dumping records, it is manipulation language. So I want to update. What you want to update? Update name. I want to update a record. Now, the big question is, in case of this KSR, I want to update the KSR, or maybe I want to update my own contact. The contact number has only 7 digits. I want to update this contact. So what I'll do, I need to write a update query. I mean, you can delete all the records. There is one more component. I mean, there is one more query called as delete. So rather than jumping to update, I'll use delete. Delete from whatever table name. It is not required to mention that table. Directly table name should be required. Delete from table. Now, if I run this query succeeded. Now you see all three records got deleted. All three records got deleted. But I only want to delete this. I only want to delete this. So whenever you're using a delete is also data manipulation language. Right. So after every query, I'll mention what is that language. Right. So delete is DML. Insert is also DML. And create is your DDL. You're defining a structure, right? Now, if I use delete from table, what you want to delete, I haven't mentioned that. I've mentioned delete from table. That means anything which is present in that table, everything would be deleted. So whenever you're using delete, now if I use select statement, everything would be deleted. Nothing is there. So whenever you're using any delete, it is always recommended, do not use delete directly. It is always recommended to use delete with the help of a component called as where is nothing but a clause. So we are starting with a new component in SQL, which is clause, right? Which is clause. What is clause? I'll mention it as clauses. And what is clause? Clause is a condition that with the help of where we can write which condition I want to delete. Which it's a clause. Clause means, see, you can search what is clause. Clause meaning. So it is something which is particularly a separate, it will create a separate component. So what is clause? Clause is nothing but it is kind of filtering criteria that with the help of this where clause, I want to delete only the record which I want to delete. Maybe which I want to understand. See, so I want to delete. Let me insert the records again. Even though I've deleted the records, I haven't deleted the table. I have only deleted the records from the table. The table is as it is. You can see name, address, contact is still there. Test tab table is still present. I haven't changed the table structure. Only records present in that table I've deleted. So that's the reason delete is a data manipulation language. So if I insert the records again, records are inserted 111. And if I use select statement again, I can see all three records. Now, what I want to do is I want to only delete a record, which contact is this contact. Now, what I'll do rather than I can use whatever condition you want, whatever filter condition you want with the help of this where clause, where name equal to RIDESH. Now, if I run this, see, only one record got deleted. Now, if I use select statement, I can only see two records. Record where name is equal to Ritesh has been deleted. Now, one big, important component is all the SQL workbenches, not only MySQL, whichever SQL workbench you are using, all the SQL workbench comes with certain, filter condition or maybe certain restriction that if you're using delete or update, it will not work directly. Why? Because you have seen the drawback of delete. If you use delete without where clause, everything would be deleted. Same goes, I'll come down to the update query also. If I'm not using where clause in the update, even update will mess up everything. So whenever you are writing delete or whenever you want to delete something in any SQL is blocked. That SQL workbench will block delete and update by default. It is always blocked. So if you want to unblock it, you should write a query set SQL underscore save underscore updates equal to 0. Now, what do you mean by 0 is all the SQL workbenches block delete and update. So if you directly use delete and update without writing this command, if you write this command and if you run this command, that means your safe updates would be updated to 0. You can use delete and update. If you do not use this command first, if you write a delete statement, it will always throw an error. Even if you use where clause, it will throw an error. Why? Because SQL, the workbench or the one who have developed the SQL workbench, the MySQL workbench, Oracle, T-SQL, or your Microsoft SQL Server, they are smart enough that if you use delete statement without where clause, everything would be deleted. So in order to avoid that circumstances, the issues or that condition, they have come up with a component called as SQL updates. It is recommended to set the SQL updates to 0. 0 means off. I'm setting the updates to 0, that is off, so that I can use delete and update whenever I want to use it. So it should be always updated to 0. Now, if I update it to 1, now if I run this query, you are using safe update mode and you try to update a table without where clause. Even though I've used a where clause, it is still not working. Why? Because delete and update are blocked. Always delete and update are blocked in any SQL. In order to unblock it, you should use this command, set SQL safe updates to 0. Now, this is by using command. By using UI also, you can unblock it. Somewhere you will get an option here. View query. Where is that option? Database server. So somewhere you will get an option here. MySQL Workbench licensing info or somewhere here for the updates. You will get a UI option where you can also unblock them. But why to use that UI option if there is already a command present? So use this command, set SQL updates equal to SQL safe updates. And there should be a you can say underscore between all 3 words. It is recommended to use an underscore. Now, what is the importance of underscore? I'll explain that as well. But use underscores equal to 0 so that you can use. Now, if I've set up to 0 again, and if I use this delete statement, it will run. Even though there is no record called as Ritesh, but it is still running that query. Why? Because I've set SQL updates to 0. That means I can use delete and update. So importance of where clause in delete. If you don't use where clause, everything would be deleted. Now, if I again insert this record, let me again insert this record. Where clause can be used on whichever column you want from that table. I've used it on name. I've used this on name. I can use it on address as well. Wherever the address is equal to Hyderabad. And see whatever I'm writing, sometimes I'm using all caps, sometimes I'm using all small, maybe combination of capital and small letters, but still it is working. Now you see that record got deleted, and if I run this, you can see that record is getting deleted. Now the big importance is the SQL, MySQL, which I'm using, it's a case insensitive language. Now I assume that you people know what is case sensitive and case insensitive. Case sensitive means it should match the exact capital or small letters. SQL is not case sensitive, it is case insensitive. Any SQL. I'm not only talking about MySQL. If you use Postgre, if you use Oracle, if you use DSQL, any SQL you're using, all the SQLs are case insensitive. That means you can use any character, combination of capital, combination of small letters, only character should be matching. Only character should be matching. So it is a case insensitive language. Right? And as I've said, importance of where clause in delete. Where clause can be used on any column. You can use any column, whichever column you want to delete, or whichever record. We are not deleting a column, right? We're deleting a record. Column is a data definition. Record, the row is nothing but your data management. Whenever you're declaring a table, you're declaring columns. So if you want to delete a column, you cannot delete a column. You can delete a record. That means you can delete a row. You can delete a column, but there is a different query for it. Right? I'll come down. Now, how update is used? Update is also almost similar because I want to update something, right? Maybe I want to update something. Let me insert that same record again. I'll insert this. Right? And if I use the select statement, you see all 3 records are there. Now, what I want to do, if you want to delete this record, you can delete and insert a new record with a different contact. But what I want to do, I want to directly update. I want to directly update. Rather than deleting it, reinserting it, I want to update it. Now, how do you update that? How do we update that? See, 90% of the time people forget this update query. Delete is very easy. Even insert is easy. But 90% of the time people forget this update query. I would always recommend if you are using any update query, please try to understand how this update query works. It's very easy. I mean, need not mug up. Update, what you want to update? You want to update from this table. So mention the table name. Now set contact. I want to update the contact for my name because it is 7 digits. I want to update it to 10 digits. Update from which table you want to update? This table. Set contact. I want to set contact. My contact should be this. This is my contact. 10 digits. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 10. 10 digits. Now I'll use update. All 3 records got updated. I want to update my contact, right? Why? Because I haven't used a where clause. Whenever you're using delete or update, it is recommended to use a where clause. People forget about that where clause. That is the reason SQL updates are kept to one, which is on. You should off it, then you can use delete and update. And see, you see all 3 records got changed because I haven't mentioned where clause. Where do you want to update this contact? I want to update this contact for my name. You should update, you use a where clause here. So what I'll do, let me delete all the records first. Delete from table. See, I'm not running where clause, I'm only running this. So all 3 records would be deleted. Let me insert all 3 records again. And if you see, all 3 records are present. Now I want to update the contact for my own name. So update from this table, set contact equal to this, where name equal to. So it will only go ahead and update my contact rather than updating all 3 contacts. Only one row affected. So it has updated that contact. And if I run this select statement, only my contact is updated. The other contacts will remain as it is because I've used where condition where name is equal to Ritesh. Only for that record, it should update this contact. So this is how update statement is used. Without where clause, update and delete are one of the most dangerous commands in SQL. If you're working in real-time projects and you have full access for delete and update, usually full access for delete and update are given to architects, not for developers. But even though you have got that access by chance, and by chance you forget to use where clause and you're using a delete, everything would be deleted. So do not do or do not use delete and update without where clause. Always keep that in mind. It is very important to understand update and delete. Now for that update and by chance you forget, you didn't use where clause. All the records are deleted. Now how to do that? How to get back all the records? There is also a mechanism, right? For every drawback, for every limitation, there is a new component or new invention came into picture. Now we'll go through that invention also. But first thing is always remember it is recommended to use update and delete with the help of where clause only. Right? So we were discussing insert, we were discussing delete. All these are related to tables or sorry, all these are related to records present in that table. So insert, update, delete are all data manipulation language commands. We are manipulating the data present in that structure. But what I want to do is I want to update this address column. I want to update this address column as city. I'm not updating the complete address, right? I'm only mentioning city. But address is not a record. Address is a column. So if you want to update something, that means you want to change this column name, you cannot use update here because update is for records present in that table. Address is a column, which is a part of that table. So if you want to do anything related to table, you have to come, you have to come out of data manipulation language. You have to go with data definition because you are changing the definition of that table, right? You're changing the column name. So if you want to change the column name, you should use a different command. That command is called as alter. You're changing the structure of a column, maybe name of a column. Alter is for changing the structure of a table. Update is for changing the structure. It is not change. You are not changing the structure. You are changing the records or maybe values for that records. Alter is for complete table structure change. You want to alter something. You want to change the structure of a table. So you can use alter. Now, what is alter? Alter. Now, what you want to alter? See, alter is a data definition language. So you cannot directly mention table name. If you mention this way, it will not work. You should always mention what you are altering. You are altering a table. Wherever data definition language comes into picture, you should always use component name. Then what is the name of that component? Component is table. Name of that component is test tab. Now I want to rename column. What you want to rename? Rename column. I want to rename address to city name. I want to rename this. Now, if I run this alter command, 0 rows affected. See, it is not affecting the records present in that table. It will change the column name. Now, if I use select statement, address has been updated to city name. Now, let me, I've said that I'll give you the importance of underscores here. In SQL, see, if you want to write the name of that column, it should be continuous. It should be continuous. But if there are spaces in between, you should not take spaces. You should always use underscore. I'm talking about structure. I'm not talking about records. If you mention Hyderabad space TG, which is your Telangana, if I insert this record would be inserted. There is no error. See, this record is still inserted. You can take space, but whenever you are declaring any column name, that means whenever you're declaring any component, which is data definition language, you should never use space. Now, if I use this space, see, the query itself is giving you error here. It will not run. Why? Because in data definition language, if you want a space between two characters or two words, it should be always underscore. You should use always underscore. Now, if I use underscore, this query already ran, right? We already changed it. There is unknown column called as address because we have already changed that column to city name. So if you want to change the structure of a table, maybe you want to rename a column also, you should use this alter statement. Alter to update something. Now, is it the case that only alter can be used to rename the column? No. You can use alter to change the structure of a column also. Now, what is the column structure? I'll use the select statement first. Name, city name, contact. Now, what I want to do is, for the, I want to change the maybe data type. I want to change. I don't want to take 50. For city name, I don't want to take 50 characters or maybe 50 bytes of information. I want to reduce it to 20 bytes. You can reduce it. There is no problem. How to change it? Change the structure of a column. Alter table. Now I'm altering something. So what do you want to alter? Test table. Now what you want to do? I want to change the data type. Even though I'm using that same varchar, but I'm changing the structure of that varchar, right? I'm only taking 20. So how to do that? There is a command modify. Rename is for renaming a column. Modify the column structure. Modify column. You should mention the column also. Column city underscore name. I want to change the city underscore name data type to varchar, not 50. I want to keep it to 20 only. I want to keep it to 20. Maybe from varchar, I want to change it to char. I'll change it to char. Let's change it to char. See, all 4 rows are affected. That means it has modified the column data type to char rather than varchar. So alter is used for changing the structure of a table. You can rename it. You can modify the data type. You can do whatever you want. You can do all this. Now, maybe what I want to do is I have 3 columns. Now, what I want to do, I want to add one more column. So in order to add one more column, there are 2 ways. Either you drop a table. There is command called as drop. What is drop? Drop will drop that table. That means it will delete that table. I'm not talking about records present in that table. It will delete the table itself. Complete table would be removed. So drop table, table name. This is a data definition language. Drop is a data definition language. Alter is also data definition. You're changing the structure of a table, right? It is not data manipulation, it is data definition. If I drop this table, everything would be down. Now you see, if I use select statement, it will throw an error. There is no table called as test tab because I have dropped the structure of a table. So if you're dropping a table, records present in that table would also be deleted because you're deleting the table itself. If you delete the records, the table will remain as it is. Records would be deleted. But I'm deleting the table itself. That means everything would be. So if you want to delete table, it is drop table. Delete is for data manipulation. That means it is for records present in that table. Drop is for completely dropping the structure of a table. So drop will drop the table. Now you can drop a table and you can recreate a table. Whatever table you want, you can recreate. Maybe I can recreate, but I want to add a new column called as email. So you can drop a table and you can create a new table with email, and I'll take varchar here. And if I create this table, it will create a new table with an additional column. But if there are 500 records and I have dropped that table and I want to recreate that table with a new column, will you go back and insert all that 500 records? It's very difficult, right? It's very difficult to insert all that 500 records again. Time consuming task. So for that reason, what I will do is let me take the table as it is. Let me keep the table as it is and let me insert the records again. Right? So I've recreated the table, I've reinserted that records. And if I use select statement again, I can see all 3 records. Now I want to add a new column to the existing table without changing the, or without deleting the records or without dropping the table. How to do that? Using alter. Alter table. This is your table name. And what you want to add column. I want to add a new column, email. And what should be the data type? Whenever a new column is declared, you should always mention the data type. Email is a varchar data type, and it can take 50 bytes of information. I'll keep it that way. And if I run this, a new column would be added. Rather than deleting everything, I have directly added a new column. Now, as of now, there is no email ID given for that employee or maybe that person. So it is giving you as null, null, null. That means it is blank. Rather than deleting all the table, reinserting, recreating, reinserting all the records, you can add a new column here directly. So you can rename a column, you can modify a column, or you can add a column. Whatever you want, you can do that. So using alter, you can change the structure of a table as per your expectation. Drop is for deleting everything. If you want to drop a table, you doesn't require that. You don't read that table. You can drop that table. If you need that table, but if you want to delete all the records, you can use a delete statement, but delete is a DML. Drop is a DDL. Alter is a DDL because it is changing the structure of a table. So I'll again go back, create, alter, drop. These are all the data definition language commands. Now, until now, any questions? Any questions until now? How DDL works, how DML works, what is the importance of where clause in DML?
Hi.
Go ahead.
Can you please explain that set SQL safe updates, if you scroll up, I think row
Have
number
you
30.
got what is the importance of where clause?
Yep.
Now, if I do not use a where clause and if you directly use a delete, it means
Mm-hmm.
it will delete everything, right?
Yep.
So in order to avoid that situation, that that circumstances where if you delete by default, you are not using where clause. If you delete
Okay.
everything,
In case if you don't use that row number 34 set SQL safe updates, and if we
if
delete,
I if I see if I are not using it is default set to one, which is on. If
Mhm.
you are not running this query, which is equal to 0, you
Mhm.
cannot use delete statement, you cannot use update statement because these two statements are blocked.
Okay, without okay, if we are if we mention that set SQL safe updates is equal to 0, and if
It,
we delete
it
without
will
where
work.
it will get an error.
It will work. It will still
Oh,
work because you have set the updates to 0. That means you have full flexibility. You can use delete and update. If you use where clause, if you do not use where clause, it is up to you. But just
mhm.
to make sure that you are under, I mean,
Safe side.
yeah, but just to make sure that you are using delete appropriately, you are using update appropriately, they will block these two commands. If you are good in understanding the importance of where clause, set SQL safe updates to 0 and you can use that command.
Okay, thank you. Okay, got it.
Any other questions until now? Any other questions?
Yeah, how are we able to add duplicate records? Doesn't it have a referential integrity?
Yeah, it will have a negative impact, right? If you are adding same duplicate records, it is wrong. So there is a logic. There is a um, option available in SQL to avoid that duplicates. We'll go through that. There is an option available.
No, so there's a concept of referential integrity, right? I thought
Hmm.
that is valid for any SQL database too.
Can you repeat the last line what you said?
So any SQL
Mhm.
uh, database addition of records will have a referential data integrity check, right? Or that is something that we need to set.
You're talking about this command.
Not that command. When you create duplicates,
Yeah. For all the
ideally,
sequels, you have that similar concept. See, whenever duplicates will come into picture, there is a concept called as constraints.
mm,
So constraints will help you to identify or reduce the number of duplicates you're inserting in the table. We will go through that constraints also. We are in the very basic of SQL. There are key constraints, right? Primary key,
yeah,
foreign key. So if you use that keys, it will help you to reduce the number of duplicates.
okay.
Now what I'll do anyways, you are um, mentioning about duplicates. There is one command which will help you to identify unique records. Now, there are 3 records here. See, the thing is, if I use one more insert statement, maybe I want to insert this Rajesh record one more time, it will throw an error because there are ideally 4 columns now. Name, city name, contact, and the 4th column is email. So whenever you're inserting a new record with that 4th column, you have to insert that 4th column also. Either you mention blank, this will run because I haven't mentioned any email. So if I run this, there is no email. I have kept it as blank. Now there is a difference between blank and null also. We will discuss that as well. But we are discussing about duplicates. So there is a duplicate record, right? Even name is duplicate, address is duplicate, contact is duplicate. So I only want to display unique records. So in order to display unique records, there is a command called as select distinct. Select distinct. What you want distinct. Now, whenever you are using distinct, you should always mention the column name. distinct name, comma, address, comma, contact, comma, email. Now I don't want email. Email is anyways blank. So I only want 3 columns. From test underscore tab. So if I run this, it will only display, let's see. So it is only displaying 3 records. It has removed that duplicate of Rajesh because it is displaying distinct records. Distinct will work on all 3 columns. It is not working only on name. It will work on address also. It will work on contact also. See, if I change it to Mumbai, this is not distinct. If I insert this record, this is not distinct. Now, if I use distinct here, Rajesh would be unique because one Rajesh is from Pune, other Rajesh is from Mumbai. So distinct will work on all 3 columns which you are mentioning. Columns which you mentioned post distinct, distinct will work on all 3 columns or whatever columns you have mentioned. Number of columns you have mentioned, it will work on all that number of columns. So distinct is a command. Distinct is just a command. It is nowhere related to DML, DDL. I mean, you can call distinct it as a query language. It is a part of DQL. You can call it as a part of DQL, but there is no as such significant reason to use it in DQL only. Select is the only command which is part of DQL, but you can call. Sometimes you can call distinct is also from DQL. Distinct is also from DQL. You can call it as DQL. So distinct is used to list out unique records and unique for all 3 columns. See, if I remove these 2 and I'm calling distinct, it will only display Ritesh, KSR, and Rajesh because Rajesh distinct names I want. I only want distinct names. So if I use distinct only on name, but if I use distinct on name and city name, now here it will display both the Rajesh because is it city name? What was it? Address, it seems. Because we recreated it, right? Because Rajesh Pune is one different value, Rajesh Mumbai is one different value. So distinct will work on all the columns which you mentioned post distinct. Right. So we are almost good with DDL, DML, DQL. Now, what is DCL and TCL? We'll discuss it tomorrow. We have started with clauses also. Right? Clause, what is the importance of where clause? We have seen the importance of char and varchar. What is the difference? I have shown you integer also. Integer is also having a limit. It will take only that certain set of value. It can take 10 digits, but that value should be less than certain predefined integer value. So in integer also there are 5 different data types. We will discuss all that 5 different data types in tomorrow's session. What is that 5 different data? Just like in character, we have varchar and char. In integer also, there is tiny int, small int, medium int, big int, and int. These
Hello,
way.
Ritesh.
Hello.
Hello.
Yep. Go ahead.
I have one doubt that SQL safe updates. What is the default value before we are setting what?
It is default 1. You should be setting it to 0. 1 means on, 0 means off.
Okay, defaultly it will set to 1. We want to
Change it.
run that.
You want to use this delete, set it to 0 and run this command.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm open for questions. Again, let me give you an idea. One who want to enroll for this course, please reach out to our team. Or as I've shown you, you can visit our website, log into our website. Once you log in, I am facing some issues with my login. Give me 15-20 seconds, just a moment. Okay, now one who want to enroll, I'll show you how to enroll it. Please visit our website. So if you want to make any UPI payments, you can make it from our website also, or else you can contact our team. Our team will also help you to, you can directly send the UPI payments to our team as well. But if you want to make payments from the website itself, go to KSR Data Vision, go to this website, go to sign in option. So a new login option would be visible for you. So you need to log in. Just a moment. Right. So if you mention, first thing is you have to sign up, because anyways, if you're going through all the recordings from our website itself, recommended is already you might have signed up. One who haven't signed up, you can click on sign up, mention your personal email IDs. Even it will work on your Gmail. And even though I'm using my own domain email ID, but you can use your Gmails, register for that. Once you register it, it will ask you to mention that email ID which you have registered and the password. Click on sign in. So once you sign in, it will go to that website. Sometimes you feel the website is a bit slow if the traffic is more, and that's common. Once you log in, now here all the information would be there. Go to explore courses. It will open a new tab. So all these courses would be visible. For now, all 5 sessions are part of these free sessions. If you go to this free session, you might have already enrolled for this. Full stack Power BI Data Analytics with MS Fabric free preview. Now for paid sessions, you need to click on this paid sessions option. Inside this paid sessions, if you scroll down, there is this option, Data Analytics with Power BI MS Fabric. Now, see, the thing is 27,000, the option is there. You click on this, click on buy now. If you're trying to make full payment, if you're trying to make 3 installments, if you're trying to make 2 installments, whatever installment you want, you can select that. Or else if you want a full payment, you can make a full payment. Click on pay now. It will go to the payment gateway. Now at payment gateway, you need to mention whatever mode of payment you want to do. UPI, cards, net banking. See, whenever you are making any EMI payment, first select this option. 3 installments, select whatever option you want. The EMI option would be automatically created. Click on pay now. It will open that payment link again. So for the next payment, you can use your the same option, or else you can connect with our team. You can make a direct payment to our team also for the second installment. They will automatically help you out. So that is the process. Now one more thing. If you are facing issues while payment, usually the amount gets deducted and the payment is not successful. It rarely happens. I mean, we have always kept, if the payment is only successful, we try to make it as a complete payment mode, complete payment mode or successful payment mode. If the payment is deducted and if the course is not added, the refund would be automatically given within 1 day, not even 2-3 days. The refund would be automatically available. So make sure if you're getting some errors, please contact our team. So if you click on contact us, please contact our team. Either both numbers are working, or you can send an email also, or you can click on send chat. You can chat on WhatsApp as well. One of our team member will help you to make a payment in offline method. So you can send it using NEFT or using UPI transfer to mention numbers. They will help you out which numbers you can send that payment to. So you can directly make a payment that way. If you feel that website is not working or it is not up to mark, sometimes you people might feel that, right? So once you enroll, I mean, you might have enrolled for these free sessions. Inside these free sessions, paid sessions also would be somewhere similar. A paid session course would be added to your bucket once you make a payment. So you can go to class records. Inside this class records, you can check all your class records. So today's 4th session. Tomorrow would be last free session, post which all the paid sessions would be starting. If you are able to understand what I'm trying to teach, and again, I'll say, if you want to learn Power BI, start with SQL. I would not recommend you to directly start with Power BI. Okay, there are people who have missed SQL by chance, who haven't gone through sessions of SQL. If they want to join with Power BI, they can. But if you already know what is the importance of SQL, try to join with SQL because it is very easy to adapt Power BI post if you have a good understanding of SQL. Right? And you can check all your sessions here. You can view your recordings. Now you can download this PDF also. Yesterday, this option was not visible, right? So you can download this PDF as well, the SQL installation steps PDF. You can check the course curriculum here. So if you want to download this SQL installation steps, you should be part of this lesson. Click on my SQL installation steps and you can download this PDF. There is a record, there is a video also. You can go through a video also, or maybe you can download, but you need to be part of this. If you're in class records and if you're clicking on this, you will not be able to see that. So you should click on lesson, click on this, you should be able to download it. And you can download the course curriculum also. All the components which are mentioned, along with that, there are a few other components which are not a part of this course curriculum. We would be covering all that components. So you need not worry. Everything would be covered. As I've seen, if you have seen, the pace at which I'm covering is slow. Slightly pace will increase. You might have felt the pace today is slightly more because we have discussed multiple things. We have discussed difference, we have discussed comments, we have discussed about case sensitive, case insensitive. So slowly the pace would be increasing. All right, so related to payments, I've already mentioned. Now for the one who have joined with today's session, who are new to this session, who haven't attended previous sessions, register on the website, or else there is the other option. I would also suggest you to go through the KSR YouTube channel, right? KSR Data Vision YouTube. All the records, all the free sessions are automatically uploaded to the YouTube channel. You can go to videos. Inside this videos, you can see session 2, session 3, session 1. All 3 recordings are available. Session 4 recording would also be available by end of day. But if you're already part of our website, you can check the recording for today's session after 30 minutes. After 30 minutes of class completion, class records, you can view this record. This is as of now live. And this sessions or this course is for 4 months, 1 month for SQL, 22 sessions, Monday to Friday. I'm talking about Monday to Friday. 1 month doesn't mean 30 sessions. 1 month, Monday to Friday, somewhere minimum 22 sessions for SQL. 2 months for Power BI, end-to-end Power BI. It's not only basic, end-to-end. SQL is also almost we are covering at the depth. So Power BI, SQL in depth, Power BI minimum 38 sessions. It can cross 40 also. I've seen in few batches, I've taken 40, 42, 43 sessions. And 1 month of Azure. So Azure and cloud, you can say moreover cloud or combination of cloud, fabric, everything. Fabric I would also be covering with Power BI. So fabric is covered with Power BI and Azure both together, somewhere around 22 sessions. So this would be the total 22, 22, 44 plus 38. So that means how many sessions? 44 plus 38. 52, 62, 72, 82. Almost around 82 sessions we would be covering. This was all about the course. I'm open for any other questions if you have. Any other questions? Maybe related to today's session, may not be related to course or somewhere you're stuck.
Hello.
Yep, Namit.
I just want
your voice is breaking. No. Just a moment. I'm able to hear you, but your voice is breaking. So what you're trying to say, it's not clear. Can you write or post your question in chat? Your voice is still breaking. Can you post your question on chat? Any other questions from any other one?
So you'll be
Hmm.
covering MS Fabric as part of
Yeah.
Azure
As
sessions?
part of Power BI and Azure, both. Once
Okay.
we are in Power BI service, it's a part of Fabric only. So from there, we would be starting with Microsoft Fabric. Fabric is all there. I mean, without Fabric, there is no Power BI service as of now, right? So Power BI service is a part and parcel of Fabric. So we would be covering that. Any other questions? Any random question also?
Ritesh, my voice audible?
Yep, it's audible, Veena.
The truncate also there, right? DDL.
Truncate is also there. There is a difference between drop and truncate. We will discuss that. Drop will
Okay.
delete everything. Truncate will delete the table, but the background skeleton schema will come into picture in case of truncate.
Okay. In future,
Truncate
we
is
will.
similar to drop, but it works like delete.
Okay. Okay.
Any
What
other question?
what is the actual use of drop table? Why do you use a drop table?
If you want to drop the structure, I don't want that table. I have created a table which is of no use. Why to keep that table? It will simply occupy the storage, right? Delete that table. Delete means it will drop that table.
Ritesh,
Mm-hmm.
like, when do we use that underscore? You told, in, for example, in
It
records,
is
if
called
we
DDL
see,
statements.
okay, if you see the records, you didn't mention that underscore for Hyderabad, Telangana, TG,
Yeah.
whatever. But in the, when we
This is
come
data
to,
manipulation. See, if we are
okay,
inserting inside a table, that is data manipulation. I'm talking
okay,
about DDL. Wherever DDL will come, DDL means we are defining the structure, maybe column name, table name. You want to create a table, right? Test underscore tab. If I directly mention test space tab, this will not work.
okay,
There should be space. Test. This is the table name, right? It is a data definition language.
okay,
So wherever DDL will come into picture, there shouldn't be space. There should be underscore.
DDL. Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So there is a question from Namit. Schema name change is change or not? Schema name is change. Okay, we can change your schema name also. See, there is a database. Schema is your database, right? This is your database. You want to change the database name, you can change using alter statement. You can change it. Alter database, rename database. You want to rename it, you can rename it. There is no problem with that. The topics covered in this course are like beginner to intermediate or beginner to advanced. Beginner to advanced. Whatever is required from the data analyst or Power BI point of view, I would be covering all that. Yes, are stored procedures. Yes, stored procedures covered. Views are covered. Functions are covered. We would be covering that. We are we are at the very start or basic. And there are many things in SQL in basics also. We will be going through stored procedures. There would be 3 more sessions for stored procedures and functions. Stored procedure functions are similar. So how that function stored procedure works, how to create it. Yes, there are sessions, but that are all post 15-20 sessions. Last few sessions would be complex end-to-end advanced SQL. Any other questions? And let me reiterate. See, again, I'm trying to say, if you want to learn Power BI, start with SQL. There are many people. I've seen the trend. I've been associated with KSR since last 2.5 years. Since all my last batches, I've seen the trend. If there are 80 batches, 80 students in one batch, 20, 25 students will join with SQL. The other students will join with Power BI. And whenever I'm trying to teach concepts which are similar to SQL in Power BI, a big question mark will come that, hey, I want, again, I have to go back and give them a idea that this is what in SQL it is called as, and then you can correlate it with Power BI. So if you want to learn Power BI, what we have made sure is, if you want to join with SQL. Okay, if you join with Power BI, you will be again learning SQL after completion of Power BI. But thing is, if you join with SQL first, it is very easy to adapt Power BI. I'm not saying it is not that difficult, but adaptability is very easy if you join with SQL as compared to if you join with Power BI and then learn SQL post. Yep. Any other question?
Ritesh, every day will share a video link, right? Morning.
Okay, good. For 5 sessions, it's a free session. That's the reason we are sharing it. Once
No.
you log in, once you are into this paid session, links are not
Hmm.
shared. You can log into our website. You can join from our website. See, anyways, only 5 sessions are visible here. If you are
Hmm.
making a payment, all the sessions would be visible, daily sessions. So whenever a session would be starting, you can click on join now. You can automatically join from our website. There is also a app. You can download app from Play Store, or you can download app from Apple iOS Store, KSR Data Vision app. You can join from your mobile or tabs. There is one thing which you need to understand is, whenever you are joining from multiple devices, you will face this issue. There are there is a limitation. 2 devices per, maybe 2 devices at a time. That means it is not 2 devices at a time. If you're logging from mobile and if you're logging from laptop, it will still work. But if you're logging 3 devices, it will not work. Only 2 devices it can accept. So if you are logging from the third device, which is a new device, in that case, this KSR login will give you, or KSR website will give you error, exceeded number of devices. There would be an error. Now, how to overcome that error? Exceeded number of devices. That means you have logged in from 3 different devices, 3 separate IP addresses would be copied. Recommended is, even if you are using only third device, the other 2 devices you are not using, but you are only using third device. How it will assume only 2 devices you can log in, not at a time, it is 2 devices per login. So if the third device you are trying unable to log in and it's only third device you are using it, if you are getting this exceeded number of devices, there is a support email ID, right? support@datavision.com. You can send an email. If you send an email, within few minutes only your account would be unlocked. Whatever that exceeded number of devices is there, you can log in from any device, but I would recommend to use only 2 devices, your own mobile and your own laptop. That's it. Do not use more than one device.
Yeah, I was facing this issue.
You can raise support, you can send an email to this.
Okay.
Okay, there is a question from Karthik that I'm from science background and working in healthcare. Just if you want to switch your career, in the first session itself, I've shown you the presentation that whomsoever is a part of any non-tech field, apart from technical, also any non-tech field, if they want to switch their career and they want to showcase their previous experience as Power BI, we can do that. The only thing is you have to put your efforts. If you are able to clear the interview, no company will ask you what was your role in previous org. There, the usage of Power BI is, or usage of reporting rather, mostly Power BI is everywhere in every sector. Government of India is also using Power BI reports. The revenue department, right? The Minister of Finance, Minister of the industries, heavy industries, all these ministries are also using Power BI for their statistics, for their analytics. So in whichever industry you are, you can showcase your previous experience as if you worked with Power BI. We can change your resume that way. And once you're good in Power BI, once you attend the sessions, you're able to understand, then it's very easy to clear the interview as well. So irrespective of whatever background, yes. Any other question? How to
Ritesh,
reach
can
out
you
for doubts and clarification? Yeah, just a moment. Okay. See, once you enroll for this, there would be a WhatsApp group created. You're all part of that WhatsApp. Inside that WhatsApp group, you can ask me a question. Even I'm part of it. If you ask me a question on WhatsApp, I may not be able to answer it very immediately, but by end of the day, I'll reach out to you with that solution. And question should be, if you give me a query, can you help me with this query? This was asked in interviews. I can help you how that query should be written. But I've seen people, they randomly come up with questions. If they are not unable to solve it, I'll help you, but I may not give you the right answer every time. But there would be a WhatsApp group. So you can ask your questions post sessions also. If you feel that you're stuck between, you can ask your questions there as well. There was a question.
Ritesh, just now you showed me, how to access your website, right? Can you please, when I'm trying to check that in Google, I'm
Can
getting
you share your screen? Is it possible?
Yes, I
Let
can.
me
Give me
stop
1 second.
sharing.
Let me close.
Yeah.
Yep. Are you able to see
Yes, click on that first website.
the first one? Okay.
Yeah, that's one. Now
Hmm.
go to sign in.
1
Last
second.
option towards rightmost corner.
Okay,
Sign in.
yeah, I got. Okay,
Now, have
got
you
it.
signed up earlier?
No, this is my first time.
Okay, you can click on sign up
Okay,
towards
I'll
right.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, if there are no questions, I assume that you are able to understand what I'm trying to teach or what I'm trying to explain. Let's connect back tomorrow. Tomorrow would be the last free session. If you have any other questions, you can note it down. You can ask me in tomorrow's session. Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good day. Let's connect back.
Thank you.
Thank you.